Hello, I'm going to be talking a little bit about neurons, brain structures and their functions, the right versus left hemispheres, and the four lobes of the brain. I hope you enjoy my film. A neuron's job is to communicate with other neurons. The brain works by forming networks with these cells. Neurons don't actually touch each other. There are gaps in between called synapses. An electrical zap takes place, followed by chemical changes, followed by another electrical zap, and is the basis of all brain activity. There are 100 billion neurons in the brain. One neuron hooks up with at least 50,000 other neurons to send and receive messages. This allows us to think imaginatively. Brainstorms create new ideas and different thoughts. This helps us to have new thoughts to progress. The cerebral cortex is responsible for the most complex mental processes, thinking, evaluating, and complex judgments. The outer gray layer is made of neuron bodies. It is what is known as what separates us from the animals. Functions of the cerebral cortex involves processing information as well as language. The cerebral hemisphere is covered with a thin layer of gray matter called the cerebral cortex. This thin layer of tissue is gray in color. It contains neuronal cell bodies called soma that are not covered with the insulation that makes most of the brain appear white in color. There are over 1 billion cell bodies in the cerebral cortex. This region of the brain is made up of 6 horizontal layers that contain different types of neural connections and neurons. The cortex consists of 4 lobes: the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and occipital lobe. The cerebral cortex covers over 2/3 of human brain and is divided into the right and left hemisphere. It is the most developed region of the brain in many animals of the higher order, especially humans. Its function involves processes such as thinking, perceiving, processing, and understanding languages. There are functional areas of this organ that help information processing. These operational areas are very important to carry out thought and reasoning processes. Let us have a look at its functions in detail. Looking at more structures of the brain, we're looking at the pons first, which is part of the brain stem. It is responsible for relaxation, dreaming, and sleep. There's also the medulla oblongata, regulates the circulation and breathing. And that's also part of the brainstem. Looking at the cerebellum, which is responsible for coordination, motor control, and memory. This is where the thalamus is located. It sorts data and sends it where it needs to go. The hypothalamus maintains homeostasis, produces and regulates vital behaviors such as eating, regulating body temperature, drinking, and sexual behavior. The pituitary gland secretes hormones into blood, controls lactation, menstruation, testosterone, and release of a majority of hormones in our body relating to puberty, sex, reproduction, and it also affects our height. The following images are describing the left side and the right side of the brain. These are connected together by the corpus callosum, collection of nerves in between the two hemispheres. The brain is wider than the sky, for put them side by side, the one the other will contain with ease and you beside. The brain is deeper than the sea, for hold them blue to blue, the one the other will absorb as sponges buckets do. The brain is just the weight of God, for heft them pound for pound, and they will differ if they do as syllable from sound.